sorry I have to be the one to tell you
shut
that
up.
the buyers, their family is a disgrace to the entire...
The Steve Harrington Effect. While the whole world is busy making theories, connecting the dots, and trying to find out who will live or die by the end of the show, we want to take a side note to talk about the Steve Harrington Effect. Yes, Steve Harrington, the guy no one thought would become our emotional support system for the rest of the show when Stranger Things first dropped. When we first saw him in season 1, he was nothing but a jerk, a man-child, and the typical egoistic popular guy at school who walked around with the tag of a F-boy around his collar. But then Steve decided, nope, I'm not going to be an asshole anymore, and boom, we get a goated Steve Harrington's character development, and it's a treat for the eyes, man. I think the whole fandom took a 360-degree turn from being Steve haters to fangirling over Steve Harrington by the end of Stranger Things Season 2. I am pretty sure it was Harrington's character that coined the whole typecast guy with golden retriever energy. He even looks cute when he sulks to babysit the kids. Yeah, it's unfair how he ends up being with the babysitter duty every single time, but the world has never seen a sexier babysitter than him. Can you imagine a guy who was supposed to die in season 1 impressed the Duffer Brothers so much that they changed his whole character arc and made him one of the best written characters on the show? Now, if you ask any fan, whose safety are you most concerned about in season 5? They will scream for King Steve. We are all throwing prayers at him because if he dies, nobody will ever recover from the heartbreak. Now that I have already rambled too much about him, let's see the evolution of this sexy-haired man's character evolution, which coined the trope of the Steve Harrington Effect. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You don't love me?
Bullshit.
Steve Harrington was the problematic king of Hawkins. When we first met him in season 1, Steve wasn't a guy you could with a kid. To be honest, you couldn't trust him with anything. Steve walked through the hallways of Hawkins High like he owned the place. And he did. He was the rich, popular, sporty guy with gelled hair who dated the school's it girls and turned every head. He and his immature group of friends were those typical annoying bullies you don't want to face at school. Everything about him fit the high school archetype of the shallow, self-centered dude who believes his hair is the 8th wonder of the world and cares more about his social status and appearance. You know, there's always one guy at school who will teach you a lesson if you date him, and here that was Steve. He dated Nancy because she totally fit his cool guy image, and, more importantly, he couldn't wait to get into her pants. He hurt her just to maintain his image in front of his friends after he saw Jonathan in Nancy's room. Rather than asking her about it, he was so consumed by his jealousy and insecurity that he ruined his relationship with Nancy. But then, in the end, we saw a different side of him, especially after that bloody fight with Jonathan. He ditched his shitty friends in order to become the guy trying to fix the mistakes he made. That was the turning point for Steve Harrington.
Hey, what's your problem, man?
You're both assholes, that's my problem.
Steve's redemption arc that slapped. Season 2 drops, and the Duffer Brothers were like, Steve, it's time for you to shine, my boy. And oh lord, his evolution, guys. This new version of Steve was a fresh gust of air. The best part is that instead of feeding his popular jerk BF ego, the show lets him grow and reflect. He fails, gets heartbroken, but that humbles him. This season, Steve becomes a full-time single mother against his will. One minute, he's arguing with Nancy about their relationship, and the next minute, he's babysitting a bunch of middle school boys who treat him like some reluctant demigod, especially Dustin, who clings to him like Steve is the last good man on earth. And I can totally relate to Dustin here. Their duo was weird. I mean, come on, a geeky science freak nerd and a high school heartthrob who never cared for his grades. Who would have thought? But both of them had the sweetest bond ever. However, spoiler alert, in season 5 we get to see a different side of them that we never wanted to witness because there's just a lot of infighting with Dustin still mourning Eddie's death. Anyway, season 2 reminds me of the iconic Steve Harrington look, wearing sunglasses and swinging a nail-covered baseball at the Demogorgon. It's like the nail-covered baseball bat was made for him. Enough simping, back to the main point. For the first time, the man-child acted like an adult when he decided to protect the children from the Demogorgons, and even managed to look ethereal while doing so. Our friend Steve looks good no matter what he does. As the Steve fever happened, the craze for him has not died since.
Out of the way! You want some? Let me get
King Steve becomes the protector of the party. This era is the peak of Steve being the babysitter of the kids. Also, his job at Scoops Ahoy is honestly the funniest and most humbling thing that has ever happened to him, because where is the popular high school guy who used to run after fame and status? This Steve was more fun, and, weirdly, it suited him better. The sailor hat and him working at the ice cream totally matched his personality. He still can't believe his life ended up this way, where Justin was his best mate. But low-key, he loves the feeling. Except my man just couldn't move on from Nancy. He can't help but regret the mistakes he made, and yearned for her like he's Mr. Darcy from Hawkins. Then comes Robin. Their friendship is one of the most authentic relationships in the entire show. And Steve finally has someone who doesn't feed his ego, sees him not as a crush, not as a heartthrob, but as a real human being. Watching him tell Robin about his insecurities and her coming out as gay is one of the purest moments of connection the show has ever given us. Fast forward to season 4, and his growth only doubles. Steve becomes the unofficial big brother to the entire teen heroes. He's protective without being overbearing or nagging, which is why the teens loved him. I mean, yeah, he is still a little dumb, but in the most adorable way that only TV him boss can achieve. Whatever, Steve is still the brave guy who will go to great lengths, put his life on the line without batting an eye. And yes, he is shirtless for an unreasonable amount of the time, showing off his hairy chest. But listen, we are not complaining here. We are simply observing and appreciating. Even Max was like, "Hand me the binoculars, Lucas. Let me take a look." And we even caught Nancy checking him out. But again, I'm not blaming the girls. We are on the same team. The present Steve is on a whole different trajectory, because now he is the emotional backbone of the show, no matter how much the plot insists otherwise. Without him, the group feels weirdly incomplete, like it is broken or unbalanced. He took a complete U-turn from being the most immature guy to someone you want around you. This guy won't think twice before risking his life for his friends, or for a child he met 5 minutes ago, and then somehow ends up comforting them afterward. So undoubtedly, Steve Harrington is one of the best written characters in the entire show, and I stand by it. I don't think anyone will even disagree with this fact. Seeing his become the better man without anyone trying to make his the better man is what makes Steve Harrington, well, Steve Harrington.
Would you guys like to set sail on this ocean of flavor with me? I'll be your captain. I'm Steve Harrington.
Why did the fandom fall in love with him? Now it's time for the fandom to shine, because oh boy, the love for Steve Harrington is unreal. The moment he is on the screen, the girlies can feel the "oh, that feeling" verse playing in the back of their minds. People adore Steve, and seriously, who won't? He has the redemption story every other poorly written character dreams of. He got no brownie points for being a jerk. No justifications were made to sugarcoat his shitty behaviour, but he suffered, and he learnt his lessons, and that's the best thing anybody could ask for. He is definitely flawed, but he tries to be better, so he deserves all the love he receives. We saw him transform from a man-child to a man with emotional intelligence. He went from "I'm too cool for kids" to "these kids are my personality." Babysitting suits him best, and no matter how much he denies the fact, deep down he loves hanging out with the kids. And just after Steve stopped doing things for the sake of being cool, his character just evolved. Plus, he looks crazy good while fighting, and is the friend who will put his life on the line to save others. All this makes him a 10 already. And one thing about Steve Harrington is that it's not just the girls fangirling over him, but he is a character who is loved by anyone and everyone. His character is just so lovable and relatable that you end up forming an emotional connection to him. Steve fans would fight demogorgons for him with their bare hands, and somehow that just makes sense. The Harrington hair. We cannot talk about Steve Harrington without talking about the hair. His hair is a whole cultural reset. After Demogorgons and the Upside Down, his hair became the global phenomenon. No one can pull off that hairstyle better than Steve freaking Harrington. That hair carries half of the weight of his personality. I'm not even exaggerating when I say it's a supernatural entity that deserves to be kept in the museum. It has got that perfect 80s volume, like he wakes up with a built-in wind machine following him around. It is styled to perfection in a way that will make everyone swoon over it. There's a valid reason why half of the fandom goes feral whenever he tosses his head, because that hair moves like it's choreographed. This man could be in a monster hunt, fighting monsters, saving lives, swinging his nail bat like he is in the finals of some supernatural baseball league, but somehow his hair remains intact. No matter which war he is in, his hair never forgets to serve. If Steve were from the influencer era, his hair gel would have sold out in seconds. In season 2, he even gave Dustin his full-fledged hair routine, including using Fabergé Organics shampoo and conditioner. Then 4 puffs of Farrah Fawcett spray, applied when the hair is damp, not wet. And even that went viral all over the internet, as people thought they finally cracked Steve's secret hair code. Even the cast of Stranger Things can't escape Steve's hair charm. We have seen viral videos of Millie Bobby Brown, Maya Hawke, and even Charlie Heaton saying on the red carpet that Steve has got the best hair. No cap. Now that I think about it, maybe it is the hair that is the real Steve Harrington effect. Whenever a season of Stranger Things drops, it's impossible not to swoon over Steve Harrington. But like half of the world smitten by the Steve Harrington effect, I too cannot help but pray that this man makes it out alive by the end of the show. Now tell me, does your mind play a Bryan Adams song at the sight of Steve Harrington? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.